Good morning. Today will be dedicated to two questions. The first one I received online yesterday from you, saying, if you're so much focused, completely focused on other people, how come you would not kiss somebody who eats meat or just had a beer? Okay, good question. And the second question was, you are confused and you're asking, isn't a C-type woman supposed to be all about herself and not other people? Isn't she supposed to demand what she wants? Do this for me, I like that, you don't count, you are nothing, my desires come first. That's also a good question. So the first question, remember when I told you put on your oxygen mask first? Because if you don't help yourself first, if you don't keep yourself in the best condition, you will not be able to serve others as well, and not at all in most cases, because you will be so feeling sorry for yourself and unhappy and malnutritioned and not looked after, so that you will not have the time and the strength and the energy to think about other people. Your oxygen mask means boundaries, certain boundaries. So if somebody you really don't like asks you to spend a lot of time with them, you will politely refuse. And it goes against the principle, focus on other people and do everything for other people. But this is your oxygen mask. These are your limits. And if you're a girl, you will not go to a bar and any guy who asks you to sleep with them and say, sure, go for it, I'm open here for you. You wouldn't do that, because these are your boundaries. This is the oxygen mask of looking after yourself. And for women and for men, we don't want to do anything to harm ourselves, right? And say kissing somebody who just had a beer or smoked a cigarette is harming yourself, harming your own pride, your own rules, your own, I don't know, morals, whatever else. It doesn't fit with you, so you wouldn't do it. Somebody else would love to kiss somebody who just had a beer, because they can enjoy a beer together. They can smoke in bed after sex and think like, wow, I'm so happy that nobody's complaining because of the cigarette smoke. I've talked to people like that and they say they would like to be with a girl who smokes because they smoke. And usually the girls will say, oh, please don't smoke, you should quit, whatever, nagging about smoking. But when they're with another smoker, it's great. You can share the same experience and you don't have to listen to somebody complain. So it's all depends on the person, right? What is right for me is not necessarily right for you or for somebody else. So when your oxygen mask is defined in your own mind, I will not do that. I prefer not to do this. And if I really don't like somebody, I will have to refuse spending time with them or answering their emails and so on. It's not complete focus on the other person. It is focus on the other person after you have taken care of yourself. After you have ticked off all those things that you need to do for yourself. And it doesn't involve extra bits of self-entertainment, self-pleasure, whatever else satisfaction. The basics. You look after your healthy spirit, healthy mind and healthy body. You do something to progress in all three areas every single day, even if it's only 20 minutes a day. You read some quotes on the internet, you read a book, you learn something new, you talk to somebody on a subject that interests you, that makes you grow in one of the three areas, the spirit, the mind and the body. If I ask you right here on the spot, what is your oxygen mask? Think about it, it's quite important. What are your limits? What will you never do? What will you consider compromising and so on? The older we get, and I'm about to turn 33 in a couple of weeks, the harder it is for us to yield and to compromise certain habits in our lifestyle. And certain things we have to decide that we can compromise on them to fit better with other people in this society. It doesn't have to be, well, I really have to go now at 7 p.m. and at 7 p.m. I'm doing my push-ups. So everybody, I'm getting up in the middle of the dinner and I'm leaving. Sometimes that happens. Some people really put themselves first. Their oxygen masks are very large. So large that you don't see their face, but okay. If I said what's my oxygen mask, just to give you an example so that you can understand easier. Say the morning yoga, morning routine, when you get up, when you listen to the radio to practice the language, because your brain is so fresh. It's taking care of your mind, right? Then taking care of your body, doing the exercise, doing the yoga. Then taking care of your spirit, of your soul, doing a bit of meditation, a bit of thinking. And that all together takes about less than 3 hours usually, and then filming the videos. So with the videos, probably 3.5, 3.25, right? That period of time is my oxygen mask, along with healthy food and wanting to spend time with certain people and not wanting to spend time with other types of people. Now, this oxygen mask should be there every day, because that's what I breathe. That's what makes me be in a good mood every day. That's what puts me in this energetic mode, so that I can go on and smile at people and help people if I can, and I always can, and you can too. So we just need to see these opportunities where we can help people. Now, if somebody said, listen, my boyfriend is sick, can you take him to the hospital? And it happens to be at 7 a.m. Sure. Then it goes beyond the oxygen mask. But if somebody said that they need to leave the country and their wife cannot drive, so can you take my son to school every day at 8 a.m. and it's very far, so it would take 2 hours out of the morning. Now that is something to think about. So what did I reply? I said, yes, I can do it once or twice, but I cannot do it every day because it clashes with the morning routine. Of course, the person who was asking was not so happy with the reply, but this is part of the oxygen mask, and you have to not feel guilty for refusing certain things. You come first. Why do you come first? Because your soul is the only soul in this world that is responsible for your body. So you have to take responsibility of not neglecting yourself, keeping yourself in good shape in all areas. I don't know why my hand fell on here. It was supposed to fall on the sides, where it meant basically mind, soul and body. And usually the weakest point in the body is, well, for women I think it's the arse and the hips and the stomach, right? For guys it's mostly stomach. Okay, second question was, isn't a C-type woman supposed to be all about herself? I want you to do this for me because I am first. My desire is all that matters. I don't think any relationship would work for longer than say an hour and a half session of fantasy. If you're about yourself and do not care about the other person's needs, it's not going to last. It's not going to be strong, and you will not build any connection. Now, you might think that some of the language, like I want, I desire, do what I say, some of the language might even seem attractive to you because of certain qualities, but believe me, when it comes from the heart and not from the mouth, it is very much ugly and very much not in tune with how we are supposed to be and how we are supposed to live. What happens to a person like this? They want more and more and more. And that is not something to play along with. She can use the language, but what she wants ultimately has to be carefully thought of, considering what is good for both people and taking responsibility for both people. So if, say, the S-type has to go to work in the morning and she really feels like a massage, she said, well, I want a massage for me, so you're gonna do it for me now. She doesn't care what time he has to leave the house, so he's going to be late in the office, half an hour late. He's going to be in trouble because he was late for an important meeting and so on. So if she does not think about his needs, it will harm him. Or if he's not feeling well and she's saying, well, I don't care, the floor needs to be done, it can lead to complications, right? She has to think for both when making the decision. That's why I'm asking you, if you're an S-type talking to anybody, any woman, think about offering options, and the options should be very sensible so that she can make sensible decisions. If you do not feel well, your options will not include mopping the floor. Not today. Maybe it's something for tomorrow. Your options will include something that you are capable of doing without harming yourself. Don't make it her job to think of the options and to make decisions and to make sure that you do what you're supposed to do. This is too much work. Nobody wants to overload themselves with an extra load of thinking for the other person tasks. Decisions is fun to make. Decisions are fun to make. Yet, looking for choices can be a chore, can be a job. So, offering anybody choices, and here we're not talking about C-type woman, we're talking about your friends, your wife, your girlfriend, your employees. When you offer people choices, it becomes a lot easier for them to make decisions. And in a way you're participating in the outcome, because the choices are limited, say, to 3 or 4. So you know that one of the final choices will be one of your options. And that way it guarantees you that it will not be something that does not fit with your current reality or current ability or so on. Yet, all this has been said over and over again. So little people actually get something out of it. Still, there are emails and messages saying, what can I do for you? Still, there are questions, what can I do in this and that situation? I wish you to remember the giving options, providing options, and not taking the easy way of sitting back and seeing what the other person would do, what would they decide, what would they choose. Offering options, using your brain, using some of your time to invest all this effort into creating certain options, and then approaching the other person. Even if this other person is me, it's still a very small percentage actually learn. A good example would be of focusing on other people and letting go of I, ego and mine. This advice, this is not your homework. It is your homework, but advice and such. You don't have to tell me what you have done for other people. You don't have to write long emails filled with I and my and me, how it made you feel and what you did for the other person. There isn't much other person in it. It's all about you again. You're missing the point. There is something completely different. It's like hanging upside down with your head down and seeing the world differently, seeing the trees upside down, seeing people upside down, not seeing yourself first, but seeing others first. Somebody said that Dalai Lama, I don't know the exact wording, but basically it said that 50% of the time should be spent thinking about yourself, and no less than 50% thinking about other people. Now that's extreme on the sort of very general audience kind of ratio. I reckon it should be more than that about other people, because you don't need that much time for yourself. Of course, there's going to be you everywhere, because you're dragging this body wherever you go with you. You can't just leave it here in bed and go help other people, just your soul. You will go everywhere, and a mosquito might bite, and you might scratch and think, oh, my body got bitten, so there you go, switching back to yourself. And, you know, how you feel at certain temperatures. So there's plenty of time to think of yourself, whatever you're doing. I think this ratio should be kept 20-80 rather than 50-50. Say 20% of the day, of your waking day, if you get up at 5:30 or 6 and go to bed at about 10, 11, there's plenty of hours, right? Or let's say a 12-hour day, divide 20% of the 12-hour day. This is not something for the morning. Maybe it is for the morning. Anyway, if you dedicate 3 hours of the day to yourself, reading a book for an hour and studying some magazines, an hour of exercise, and an hour of thinking, meditation, corner time, whatever you need to reflect, to find something that motivates you. A little bit more to add to the answer to the second question. Oh, this thing is not really breathing. It's so sweaty underneath. Look at that, wet. Yeah, to add to the answer to the second question, she can use the right language to make it more fun, but she has to think about two people when she makes decisions, when she asks for something. Basically, taking control is a huge responsibility, and responsibility not only for yourself, but for the other person. And it is hard work. You need to consider every factor of your life and factor of his life. That's why similarities help, like having similar lifestyle, similar diet, and so on. So I could never understand what it's like to have a cool beer in the hot sun and munch on French fries with a sausage, because I've never tried beer. That's why making a decision, say regarding what beer to order, would be a very difficult decision. They all look the same. And also goes against the principle, against the oxygen mask. Any of the money that makes its way into my wallet will not be spent on something that I do not support morally. There are exceptions, yes, but most of the time. Like large supermarket chains and alcohol and cigarettes and so on. Remember going somewhere on a trip, and then Dad asked for cigarettes and alcohol from the duty free, and I asked him to pay back for it. And he was really surprised, like, why would you get money for that? And I said, well, because any other gift, it doesn't matter about the price, any other gift I could give, but this gift, I don't want my money to be spent supporting tobacco industry or alcohol industry, because I think it ruins people who fall victims to their desires, slaves to their desires and temptations of receiving certain feeling that they cannot or do not know how to get somewhere else, addictions and so on, not being disciplined enough to end the addiction. Off the subject. Okay, 21 minutes, enough for you for today. Thank you for listening. Please follow what I say, not just listen. I think if this was a school, we would have probably 3 or 5% passing rate. Maybe we should have an exam for you. Just an idea. Remember we had that test a long time ago, back in October or November, and so little people passed it. Still somewhere there. Maybe you should try. You could try doing it. Oh, you don't have the questions? Yeah, you do, in the video. Anyway, forget about the test. It's not about test. And I don't want to go through everybody's homework. It is your own responsibility to do well. And if there are some achievements, you can write to me about it. I'd like to read it. But if there are no achievements, then try harder. I want only intelligent students in my class who can relate to what I say and try it out in real life. Okay, time to end for today. Bye bye.